Good morning, and thank you for tuning into the Andrew Tate Show, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We've got a great show for you guys today. We're going to be covering Tiger Woods finishing last at the Masters, the College Football Super League. We'll also be talking a little bit about UFC 300, and make sure you guys stick around for later in the show when we'll be diving into our Diddy Horror Story special. Before we start, though, I just wanted to ask that you guys like and follow the show. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donation link with your question. The link is gsmcpodcast.net. This just puts your question at the top of the list so that I can see it, and it also really helps the show.
Okay, before we even start, Faith.
Yes.
What was the name of that fourth segment again?
Dating horror stories.
To me, it sounded like you said Diddy horror stories. And I'm like, whoa! Now that's I don't know.
No, we won't be talking about that.
There will not be any Diddy horror stories going down.
No, we won't be talking about any of that.
I'm like, what did you
want information on
find?
that? You look it up yourself.
I swear to you, I thought you said Diddy horror stories. And I was like, oh, no, you should have cleared that with me first.
No. Nothing of that nature.
That's a whole nother conversation there.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. Your camera's down, so I can see the bottom of your thing now.
Oh, my microphone.
I see that little arm at the bottom, bottom corner. Yes.
Yeah.
So other than Diddy horror stories, how are you doing? How was your weekend? All that good stuff.
I'm good. I'm actually a little sunburnt.
I did notice.
I forgot to put sunscreen on before going to the UGA's spring football game. And so, I got a little sun on Saturday. So I'm still kind of recovering from that. It was actually much worse on Saturday, so it's more of a light pink today. But it was fun. I've never gone to a spring game. There's not that stress level, so it's nice because they're just playing each other. So
it was weird. I don't watch a lot of spring games, and you sent me pictures from the spring game, and it took me for a loop for a second. I was like, what the heck? Because I felt like I was back at the University of Akron. The stadium was half empty and everything. And I'm like, boy, that's weird.
Yeah, that's probably the only time I will ever see Sanford Stadium not that packed. Like, I had never seen it. Because we could just sit anywhere, honestly. Like, it wasn't like they were really mandating where your tickets put you at. So, yeah.
That's, and I'm used to, I saw the spring game at Colorado last year when Coach Prime, his first year, was there, and the stadium was sold out. So I'm picturing it being, like I said, never really done the spring games for Georgia or anywhere else. So I was expecting it to be a packed stadium, and it was like no one there. I was like, whoa, that's weird.
The friends that I went with, one of them, she went to a spring game, she said about 5 years ago, and she's like, there's actually more people than there was 5 years ago at that spring game. And so, yeah.
And also, for someone who has watched a lot of Georgia games, the stadium was so empty, I couldn't recognize the stadium. It was just, I was like, where's this at? That's you know what I mean? Because you're used to seeing it a certain way.
Yeah.
And you go to the Horseshoe at Ohio State, you don't picture it empty. So it was definitely bizarre to see a spring game at a major program, and it just wow, not that many. That's a home game at University of Akron, but
no, it's normally pretty packed. I guess just since it was a spring big game, not very many people came. Because I mean,
so what was your thoughts of the spring game in general?
I mean, it was fun. And it was, like, relaxing because you don't have to stress out about who's going to win because either way, you win, But I will say after a while, it was kind of boring because you didn't have really anything to, like, look forward to or try to root for because it's, they're all just Georgia players. So, and actually at the end of the game it was tied. The score was 20-20 and I was like, "Oh my gosh, we're going to go into overtime." But they
No,
didn't
there's no
do
overtime.
Yeah, they
There's
didn't
no
do
overtime in
overtime.
spring game.
Well, I didn't know that. But there was no overtime, thank goodness. Yeah, so I mean it was fun to watch, but after a while you're just kind of like, "Man, I kind of wish we were actually playing someone other than Georgia.
See,
Maybe that
I
would have made
kind
it
of
more
think
fun to watch."
that's why I feel like I wish they would do like an inter scrimmage, like like they bring a team in
Yeah.
for a week and they practice with, like the NFL will do this sometimes.
Mhm.
They'll have a team come in and they'll practice against each other and kind of have like a practice game
Mhm.
between, let's say, Georgia and Georgia Tech or something like that,
Yeah.
where they're practicing together and everything for the week, and it ends with a spring game that's not really a real game, but a game that they scrimmage against each other. I
Mhm.
would love that. That's more of an eye-catching television event than the Georgia spring game or Ohio State spring game,
Yeah.
Michigan. It's just not the same. No, with the exception of Colorado. Colorado last year's spring game was like worth seeing. But
Mhm.
yeah, most spring games are not
Yeah.
anything special. It's also weird because spring game, that's after the spring game and everything. That's when the transfer portal starts opening up again, and there's players that are going to be coming and going again. This whole transfer portal thing makes it hard for you to even know who your team is.
Mhm.
So anyway, didn't mean to make a whole. We did a half a segment just on the spring game here, but it's very cool
Yeah, it was fun.
to see. All right, so what's our first topic for the day?
Alrighty, so after finishing last at the Masters, Tiger Woods looks ahead to the three remaining majors. So it was 1:22 p.m. Sunday afternoon, and there was Tiger Woods in his usual red, launching his final tee at the 2024 Masters onto the lush 18th fairway at Augusta National. He was more than 5 hours too early. The final round leaders weren't even going to tee off for another hour. After shooting an 82, his worst round in his life in a major tournament Saturday, Woods came back Sunday with a 5 over 77 to finish dead last at 16 over par, all alone in 60th place. Woods, who is 48, who barely plays competitively anymore after his 2021 car crash crushed his right leg, said the biggest challenge for him throughout the weekend was the gusting wind that wreaked havoc on the shots throughout the tournament. I think that just the wind and what it was doing out there to the golf shots and the balls and putting and how difficult the course was playing, he said, it doesn't take much to get out of position here. Unfortunately, I got out of position a lot yesterday and a couple times today. But Woods said all is not lost. He said it was a good week. It was a good week all around. I think that coming in here and not playing a full tournament in a very long time, it was a good fight on Thursday and Friday. Unfortunately, yesterday it didn't quite turn out the way I wanted it to. Today, the round the way that Tom is playing, I thought I had it in my system. Unfortunately, I didn't produce. Woods said he's planning to play the three remaining men's majors this season, starting with the PGA Championship at Valhalla in
Mm-hmm.
May, and then the
Yeah.
U.S. Open at Pinehurst in June. This is a golf course I knew going into, he said, of Augusta National, so I'm going to do my homework going forward at Pinehurst and Valhalla and Troom. But that's kind of the game plan. It's always nice coming back here because I know the golf course, I know how to play. I kind of simulated shots. Granted, it's never quite the same as getting out here and doing it. Same thing. I heard there's some changes at the next couple of sites, so I've got to get up there early and check them out. After his miserable weekend, there was no use looking back, so Tiger Woods did the only thing he knew how to do, and that was to look ahead.
Okay. When I was watching this, I watched bits and pieces of this,
Mm-hmm.
and first, this was his 100th career round at
Mm-hmm.
Augusta. And, Tiger Woods made his name at the Masters.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm watching this, and for the big story was, would he make the cut?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you make the first 2 days and then people get cut. And the fact that he made the cut was a big story
Mm-hmm.
and was a big surprise. But as I'm watching this, my emotions kind of swung. Initially, you watch Tiger, and the back surgeries, the knee
Mm-hmm.
surgeries, and then the car crash, which he almost lost his leg, and things, and the fact that he's out there playing at all is amazing,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely amazing. But I'm watching this, and I'm like, Tiger should retire. That was going through my head the whole time. It's
Yeah.
like he's not competitive. He should retire. Uh, he's never going to win another major again. And that's kind of the way I was taking it for a long time, because physically his body can't do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of the massive injuries and the car accident and everything else. And so I'm watching this and I'm feeling bad for Tiger. I'm looking at this, and you look at some of the numbers. Uh, like I said, it was his 100th round at Augusta. He finished 60th, dead last. His last four, which was the Masters was always his top event. He finished 78, 78, 82, and 77. And 77 was in last place.
Mm-hmm.
His last, since 2019, his last 11 majors, he's missed the cut 4 times, had to withdraw twice, and his best finish was tied for 21st. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, it's time for Tiger to give it up. But then, as we're watching it, and he's just kind of battling through, and no one is delusional that Tiger's going to do anything spectacular on the last day. It changed. And it's like, you know what? It's kind of like seeing LeBron out there, or seeing Tom Brady out there, or Serena. Those guys are at a level that no one has ever done.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they're playing, and let's say, even though Tiger isn't playing at that level, it's like, man, you should cherish these times,
Mm-hmm.
because they're not going to be here much longer.
Right.
LeBron, you look at LeBron and you say, LeBron has 1 to 5 years. So LeBron has a lot in front of him. Serena's done. Tom Brady, we think is done, but we're not always 100% sure. So, but watching Tiger, it's like, no, he can't play like he used to, but he can still get out there and golf.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the cool thing about golf. Maybe he doesn't make a lot of the cuts anymore, but it's still like, hey, I remember when I saw Tiger do this, or I saw Jack Nicholson do this. Jack Nicklaus do this. I could see Tiger maybe finishing this year out, and then going to the senior tour and playing on the senior tour a little bit, so that he's still out there. It's nice to see him and be able to appreciate the greatness that has been Tiger Woods.
Mm-hmm.
It's also incredibly sad to see that Tiger Woods is no longer great. He's a great man, but his play on the course isn't at that level. And so my whole point I was getting at is, you understand what I mean by being torn, where one part of you like, oh man, I kind of want to see him retire.
Yeah.
But it's so good to see him. It's kind of like, think about Mike Tyson
Mm-hmm.
fighting Jake Paul. It's like, I always say, man, I really don't want to see Tyson get beat up by Jake Paul, but I'm going to scream like a little girl if he wins.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same situation with him. Every time when he does something good, it's exciting. And Tiger Woods is good for the game. Without Tiger Woods, the game is a different game. You watch the crowds that follow him. You look at the television ratings when Tiger Woods is on the course. The fact that Tiger Woods made the cut made the television ratings go up even more. So it is very beneficial for golf that Tiger Woods is still out there, still playing, because it gives, kind of like Caitlin Clark, gives other players a spotlight or a stage that they can shine on. So it's good. So I'm just torn. But does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm. It does, yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's definitely time for him to retire. I didn't really think that he was going to come back at all after all of that happened with the car crash and him having all the issues with his leg. So, I mean, I guess good for him for going to the Masters and, you know, giving it a shot, but I think it's time for that door to finally close.
See, and I get where you're coming from, because it absolutely makes sense what you're saying. And I agree with what you're saying, but golf is a different game than every other sport out there. When I started thinking about Tiger Woods retiring and just giving up golf forever, that sounds like that's what you think of with retirement. Tom Brady never playing football again. Mike Tyson never boxing. Serena never playing tennis again. And that's why my opinion changed. Like, no, he shouldn't retire, because golf has something that no other sport has. It has a senior tour. Tiger's about to turn 50 soon, which puts him, he's allowed to play in the seniors tour. And so he can keep playing. And that's why I went from switching from, man, I kind of want to see him retire, to no, because he can still play when he's 50. You can't have a seniors NFL. There would be.
I think there should be.
Oh my God! Think about a seniors NFL.
That'd be great.
You know, maybe you could have a seniors NBA, but you can't have a seniors NFL. But golf is one of those sports that, he's 49 now. You could literally play another 20 years. And saying he should retire is like saying, hey, we're going to take 20 years of your golf career from you. You can't do that. You know, so that's why I changed my whole opinion. Midway through this whole thing is like, should he retire? I think he should retire. To wait a minute. No, he shouldn't. I think he's done. And I think most of us know this since the car accident. He's done winning majors, but he's going to still get out there and golf and do those events. And I'm happy that golf has something like that, so you can still see a Tiger Woods, because when LeBron retires, you won't be able to see. There's no games out there you're going to watch Jordan and Kareem and all those guys get out there and play. Golf is the only one that you have it. So, you know.
Maybe we can do like a pickup game with all of them and live stream it or something.
Live stream it. I think that'd be some horrible basketball. That would be some, oh my God. I think, just all the greats. You gotta be a top 30 player to play in this game. It'd be, you know, Kareem. I think Kareem's,
he's old.
Kareem's like, Kareem could be close to like 80.
Yeah, he's up there.
You couldn't even. You couldn't even. It'd be hard to get that game together. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
All right.
Alrighty, guys. Well, with that, we are going to take our first break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about the College Football Super League. Proposed has merit, but significant obstacles remain if restructuring the sport. So make sure you guys stick around, and we'll be back in a minute.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh,
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Alrighty guys, welcome back. Earlier we were discussing Tiger Woods after finishing last at the Masters, and now we're going to be talking about the College Football Super League proposal has merit. But before we do that, I just wanted to remind you guys to like and follow the show. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donation link with your question. That link is gsmcpodcast.net. This just puts your question at the top of the list so I can see it, and it also really helps the show. Alrighty.
So first off,
yes,
you see, every once in a while I send Faith a message while on break. I'm just silly with her. So I send her an emoji with a guy with sunglasses, and she sent me one back. Is that a nerdy guy with braces you sent me? Mm-hmm. I'd never seen that one before. She sent me an emoji with a nerdy guy with braces and glasses on, and I was like, "What? I've never seen that before."
I've got glasses on today. It's me.
So you're just missing the braces. I like the glasses though.
Thank you.
They're different. They are incredibly different. They're big and round, but still stylish and cool.
Yeah, they're my blue light glasses so that I don't get headaches staring at the computer for too long. So, not prescription. My boyfriend, who actually has prescription glasses, he calls me a poser whenever I wear these.
I didn't realize. I thought they were prescription glasses. So
no.
These are just plain
they
glasses.
They shield the blue light that emits off of screens, so my eyes don't get strained staring at computer screens for large amounts of the day. So
wow, okay, that went through me. I totally thought you needed those glasses.
No, I don't really need them. No, they help me out though. So
making a rule, you can't be wearing those now. No, I'm just joking. I'm just totally joking.
Oh gosh. Okay.
It just made me. So go ahead.
All right, so we've got some more stuff added to the College Football Super League. So the College Football Super League proposal has merit, but significant obstacles remain if restructuring the sport. The idea of creating a Super League format in college football is doable and brilliant, but in 2031. That is the right time frame where current media right contracts for major conferences and the college football playoff will be expiring. It's called Catermonius, which is derived from the Latin word for sharing a common boundary. It would be the perfect time to restructure college football to where the sport is owned by the schools and their media rights partners. Now is just not even close to the right time to implement those changes. That's one conclusion reached after CBS Sports spoke with sources at the Final Four in Glendale, Arizona, the past several days, soliciting options of stakeholders regarding discussions for a potential Super League, which was first reported last week by The Athletic. A group consisting of college leaders developed an idea to transform college football into a single entity league, similar to what the NFL morphed into the 1960s. Back then, the former NFL commissioner Pete Rozelle successfully lobbied his team to share revenue equally under what was called a single entity structure, a model which has survived into today while withstanding even Supreme Court challenges. With college sports strapped to a rocket heading towards an uncertain future, the 28 people involved in the venture dubbed College Sports Tomorrow as girdling for what seems to be a showdown against a future trying to be created by the Big Ten and SEC. I do not believe that leaving it to the commissioners and athletic directors is the way to go, because when you do not get the view of university as a whole, West Virginia president and CST member Gordon Gee told CBS Sports. I think the university presidents have been the root of the problem here, Gee said. We have ignored, we have not been engaged, we have not paid enough attention, and I am the poster child because I paid a lot of these coaches millions of dollars, and we just thought life was going to go on. We should have been thinking more progressively for a long period of time. My view is that is to stimulate the conversation, get enough university presidents together to solve the problem. The history of presidential involvement in the NCAA reform has been uneven. It goes back to 1984 when the President's Commission was established to oversee after a long series of high-profile enforcement cases. The corruption persisted, and so did the money. When the college football commissioners were unable to agree on a 12-team playoff model, it took the CFP board of members, specifically Mississippi State President Mark Keenum, to get it done. FBS commissioners continue to drag out the discussion on what the playoff will look like in 2026 and beyond under the new media rights deal.
Okay. The first thing when I listen to this, the 2030s makes sense because that's when mostly everyone's media rights contract is up. The Big Ten, the SEC, the ACC's 2036, the Big 12. So that is the perfect time to do this. But there's a lot more. The reason why this is fascinating is because there's more and more athletic directors and chancellors that are talking about this and being asked about this. And you hear West Virginia talk about it, and you hear, people bring up different things from different schools and things. And what I keep hearing is a world of haves and have-nots. And what I mean by that is this. Sure, you hear West Virginia talk about it. You hear Florida State not be happy with it. You hear about Clemson. You hear about teams in the Big 12. You hear about the Pac-12 or the Mountain West. You hear all these schools talking about it. You hear all these chancellors and this guy, we quote this guy, we quote this guy, we quote this guy. You know what you don't see? There's something you're missing, Faith. You know what you don't see? Everyone sounds like it's a great idea. This is a great time when it's going to happen. This is wonderful. This is what we need, and it is what they need. It is exactly what they need. But you don't hear anyone from the Big Ten or the SEC commenting.
Nope.
Do you? Crickets. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You understand where I'm coming from? Because the Big Ten and the SEC, they have all the money in the world, and they got truckloads already coming down the highway ready to drop off more money.
Yeah.
And so the have-nots are like, yes, this is great. I think we should do this. But that's the hard thing. How do you get the SEC to say, hey, we're willing to give up some of our power, money, and prestige to help out college football?
I don't know
how do you get the Big Ten to say, hey, yeah, we're the richest conference in the world.
Yeah.
We're willing to give up some of that to help out because it's best for college football.
I don't know how you would get that at all from the other.
It's not the American way. It is not the American way. You have power. You have money. They demand their respect.
Yeah.
They're not giving up. The Big Ten and the SEC, that's the reason why they built this little alliance.
Yeah.
To make sure that they keep having their dominance. Why are they going to be, like the college football playoffs? It's always been split evenly. No, we're not splitting evenly with the ACC and the Big 12 and the Pac-12. No, we're not doing that because we're the Big Ten, we're the SEC, and we deserve more money than everyone else. And we deserve more teams than everyone else. There lies your problem. Everyone knows this new college football super league addresses every major problem in college football. The college super league is a good thing for college football, and it would help college football. And long run, it could end up making it way more money than it ever has.
Mm-hmm.
But those who are in power are not going to be willing to give up power and money
Mm-hmm.
to make things better for everyone else. When it's kind of like going to Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk and saying, you know what, we have this proposal where we're going to take all the money everyone has, and we're just going to spread it out evenly around America. Everyone's going to have the same amount, and everyone gets to start all over fresh. Zuckerberg and Elon Musk is going to be looking at you like, no, you're not. I'm not voting for that. But good old Faith James, she's voting for it. You mean you're going to give me some of Zuckerberg and Elon Musk money?
Yeah.
And I don't have to do anything? It's going to be even? You're going to vote for that, and you're going to be happy about it. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why you hear West Virginia talking about it, because West Virginia is not Ohio State, Michigan, or Georgia, or Alabama. And they're not making that Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Georgia money. They're not even making the Vanderbilt money.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the problem with this program. Is it best for college football? It is. It's the perfect solution. One entity, the conferences are laid out evenly. They address name, image, and likeness. They address players being paid. They could change the college football schedule. The players are taken care of. Long term, everything fits, except for, hey, Big Ten and SEC, you're going to have to be the one that bleeds more than everyone else. Everyone else comes up from this.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else benefits, but not the Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerbergs of the college football world, the Big Ten and SEC. Mm-hmm. They don't benefit. They already know. They have an agreement in place right now that the college football playoffs, they get more money than everyone else. They have television contracts where the SEC is like, hey, we make more money than everyone other than the Big Ten. The Big Ten's like, we make the most money of everyone. Or you can be, we're making $100 million a school, or you could be Florida State getting $36 million a school per year. There's a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you get a conference with the biggest brands and the biggest schools making the most money to agree to give up all of that? There's the big problem. You can't do it.
Mm.
That's the reason why, as much as I love the college football Super League concept, it has to be critiqued. And it has to be critiqued because you can still do it, but you have to acknowledge that the SEC and the Big Ten are two big super leagues. And that's why my proposal was you keep those conferences. You say the Big Ten, you get two teams, an East and West conference. Your East champion gets an automatic bid. Your West champion gets an automatic bid. The SEC East champion, SEC West. So the Big Ten and ACC gets 4, and all the rest of the conferences, you go back to the ACC, they get a bid. The Pac-12 gets a bid. The Big 12 gets a bid, and then one extra one, and then one group of 5. And that's how you get your 10. Because no one else is going to say, okay, we're okay with giving up the money. Second of all, these schools already have their television contracts. And how are you going to give them and say, hey, I want you to give up working with Fox and CBS Big Ten, and we're going to spread all that money, that television money out and share it among everyone else. No. Heck, Notre Dame don't even want to share their little bit. You know what I mean? Notre Dame don't want to share theirs. The Big Ten doesn't want to share theirs, and neither does the SEC. So the only way you can do the Super League is to leave the money the way it is. Let the Big Ten and the SEC still make their money by their television contracts. Everyone else still goes out to contract because it comes down to the television networks. So if you can make it so each of them each conference can still go out to bid for their television contract, then you could do the College Super League. But trying to get billions of dollars taken away from the Big Ten and SEC, why would they ever agree to it?
Well, the thing with that, though, is now with that idea, which you just mentioned, how are you going to get the other schools to agree to that one? Because I think part of the main
because
reason...
they're easy here, because it's already been done.
I mean, yeah, but part of the main reason why this idea has been crafted is because all the other schools are kind of upset with the amount of money that the Big Ten and the SEC are getting, and so they're trying to do it to where it's fair for everybody. And you're saying the Big Ten and the SEC aren't going to do it because they're going to lose out on a lot of money, and that they should keep the money the way it is. But then the other conferences are going to be upset because they're not gaining anything from it, really.
Okay, that's a great question. But you look at the college football playoff agreement that just went down. Mm-hmm. It used to be everyone was spread out evenly. What did they agree to? The Big Ten and the SEC gets the most amount of money. Notre Dame gets their cut. The Big 12 gets a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And the ACC gets a little bit less than the Big 12, because they've already admitted that taking it less is more than what they had. They're still going to make more money by doing this. They've already agreed to a tiered system because they know if they hold out, the alternative is, hey, no, we're not going to do it. Well, the Big Ten and the ACC are like, I agree with you. We don't want to do it anyway. That's just more money for us. Mm-hmm. Fine. Okay, if all the leagues came together and said, we're going to go without you. Do you understand a league that says no Big Ten schools, no ACC, SEC schools would never survive? Because if it's New Year's Day, there's 2 games on. It's the ACC, the Big 12, the Pac-2, the Mountain West, the American, MAC Conference, and the U.S. They all play for their national championship game. And you got Tulane versus Louisville in that championship game. And then you turn around and you got Ohio State versus Georgia. What game are you watching? Michigan versus Texas. USC, you know what I mean, versus Oklahoma. That other league couldn't survive. Mm-hmm. Because the power is already set into the Big Ten and SEC. The balance of power has been tipped to the point where they're not willing to give up everything they've earned. Mm-hmm. And so they're not going to do it. And so a conference championship splitting off from the ACC and the Big Ten, the SEC and the Big Ten, would be a death sentence for these guys. There would be no television deal for them. They're going to agree to this. Those other conferences are now over a barrel where they have to look out and say, the Big Ten, SEC, how do they get their money? And then we get some of that money as well. Mm-hmm. Or do what Florida State and Clemson are trying to do get us the heck out of the ACC and get us to the Big Ten and the SEC as quick as humanly possible, even if it's going to cost us $700 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's it in a nutshell. That's harsh. That's harsh to say it that way, but that's kind of
it's the way it's going, though.
Because the right way would be everyone gets paid the exact same, one television contract. Everyone does across the board revenue sharing. And then when the playoffs happen, the top 16 teams, doesn't matter what conference, gets in the playoff. You get so much for a first round appearance. You get so much for a second round appearance, third round appearance. You get so much for winning a national championship. That's the way it should be. But I don't know, unless something majorly happens where there's no more television money to be had, well, the ACC, the SEC, and the Big Ten will either have to fall back a long way, or the Big 12 and the ACC and the new Pac-12 has to come up so much that they're equal. Then you could do it.
Yeah.
So. So do you agree with me or disagree with me?
I mean, in a perfect world, they would go with this idea of Super League, but like I said, I agree with you in saying that I don't think the layout that it is right now is going to happen. And there's never going to be a perfect world where everybody's happy. Somebody's feelings are going to get hurt with this no matter what. So it just depends on how they go about this, if they decide to do the Super League proposal or if they just keep doing things the way they're doing them right now. Who knows?
And you're not going to get a school like you're not going to get a school like Vanderbilt and Rutgers who wins like one game a year between the two of them to say, hey, you know what? Take some of our money. We don't deserve it. No, they're going to keep collecting that cash. So that's why I feel like I hate to say it. I would love to see it happen, but I feel like unless something majorly happens, it's dead on arrival. There is one thing that could happen, though, real quick. Very soon, a lot of these lawsuits about name, image, and likeness is going to be heard in court. And there's some prediction that there's going to be billions of dollars that these leagues are going to have to pay. Billions to all these old previous players, all those old Alabama and Georgia and Michigan players who played it for free and now are looking at, hey, we should have gotten paid. If that passes, if they start losing those in court, that could hurt college football, and that's when it maybe something like that could happen. Yeah. So, just throwing out curveballs.
We got 7 years, so so we got some time. But guys, with that, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to be discussing UFC 300. It's Monday. We'll be back in a minute, guys.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Earlier, we were talking about a little bit more about the College Football Super League, and now we're going to be discussing UFC 300 and what happened this past weekend with that.
Great.
Okay. So let's start out with Max Holloway, who beats Justin
Gaethje.
Say it again.
Gaethje. Justin Gaethje.
Gaethje. Okay.
I'm there for you.
Okay, so Max Holloway beats Justin Gaethje with a KO of the century. All it takes is one moment of brilliance to steal the entire show. With a total of 12 current or former champions fighting at the landmark of UFC 300 event in Las Vegas, it was going to take something extraordinary to stand out, but Max Holloway rose to the challenge. With only 10 seconds remaining of his lightweight contest with Justin Gaethje for the symbolic BMF title, Holloway pointed to the floor, inviting his American compatriot to stand and trade blows, with the pair swinging wildly, burning the final remnants of their energy. Following a grueling 5 rounds, it was Holloway who connected hardest, sending Gaethje crumbling to the canvas with 1 second remaining. The sold-out crowd at the T-Mobile Arena burst into a deafening roar, while TV cameras showed wild expressions of the faces of fighters watching at the octagon side. UFC commentator Joe Rogan decided the finish as the KO of the century, while the promotion's president Dana White likened it to a scene from a movie. Holloway, who is 32, won the commemorative BMF title awarded to the UFC's baddest fighter, and the description could not be more apt considering Holloway, who was set to win the bout by decision, risked defeat in favor of entertaining the fans and chasing a knockout.
BMS stands for baddest mother effer.
Oh, okay.
I knew you didn't know what that was standing
for.
You're like, ooh, your
for
reaction. Okay, first off, Justin Gaethje is that fighter that puts it all out there. He puts his entire body into the fight. I mean, he's willing to go blow for blow with anyone. And then you have Max Holloway. Both of these guys are UFC legends. And this was one. I've seen Max Holloway do this before, where there's only like 20 seconds left in the fight, and he's like, let's do this right here, center of the ring, let's go for it. Well, Justin Gaethje's one of those guys, like, they ain't said nothing but a word, let's do this. Gaethje was losing anyway. Max Holloway could have just ran and won the fight, but he pointed to the center of the ring, got to the center of the ring, and they went at it. And when the land, I don't know if you're able to pull it up, Faith, and see, I think you will be a little surprised. Man, when they started throwing haymakers, and when he caught Gaethje, I mean, Gaethje went out. I've seen Gaethje get caught before. That was the best knockout, I say, in UFC history. That may be my favorite knockout ever. Literally 1 second left in the fight. There's no time left. There's only 1 second left in the fight. And Max cold cocks him, and he is gone. I look at, let's say, greatest knockouts ever. I see when Manny Pacquiao got knocked out. I thought that was the best knockout ever. The best fight ever, I always say, is that Thomas Hearns, Marvin Hagler fight. And maybe the Roberto Duran Thomas Hearns knocking out Roberto Duran. Now, do you see what I'm talking about? Look at the look on Faith's face. Do you understand what I'm talking about now, Faith?
Knockouts are so funny to me, because like they look like they're fine, and then all of a sudden they get one hit, and then they're just sleep.
Do you see why I told you to look at it, Faith?
Yeah.
the look on your face was priceless. Do you see why when you're looking at that, you're like, that could be one of the greatest knockouts ever. Go ahead.
It's just the way they like fold over, and then this dude is just like laying down, face down on the ring. That's
you lose all control of your body.
It's such a humbling experience, I'm sure.
It's like he took his soul from him. Am I right?
Yeah.
Now see
Yeah.
your whole reaction to it totally changed. Once you saw what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. And the fact is, did it show him when he's pointing to the middle of the ring and he said, "Let's go"?
This was just a highlight. I don't know.
Yeah, but right before.
He
points to the center of the ring and said, "Let's go right now." And it's like, all right, let's go. And they just start firing shots. Skill went out the window. Everything is like me versus you. I love how it made Faith light up. So,
oh my God.
And kind of like Dana White said, it kind of took the air out of it. There was two. Whaley had her fight defending the women's strawweight title, and then the light heavyweight title with Alex Pereira. I felt like after that fight, everything else was kind of like, okay, everyone was just buzzing and talking about that fight, that the two main and co-main event fights were kind of like, okay. And, even though Alex Pereira knocked Jamal Hill out in the first round, Whaley went to decision. It was kind of like the star of the night was Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway. And it was just, it blew the doors off of the arena. UFC 300 was supposed to be the greatest card in UFC history. Everyone, UFC 100, UFC 200, and then UFC 300, they always put on their biggest event. And this is supposed to have been their biggest event ever. And I haven't really been feeling like it's the most stacked card, but maybe not the biggest names. But it delivered maybe the biggest knockout in UFC history. So that was huge. I had to cover that one. Yeah. I know we got a couple more things to talk about, so we're going to move on. But that knockout was impressive.
Yeah. Knockouts. Every time I see them, I'm always so shocked at just how they just fall asleep, because that's crazy to me. Okay, so our next story is Dana White announces Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler will headline UFC 303 in June. So the biggest star in MMA history will fight in the main event of UFC 303. Conor McGregor's long-awaited, highly anticipated return to the octagon is official for UFC 303 against Michael Chandler. UFC CEO Dana White officially announced the matchup following Saturday's UFC 300 event. The matchup will take place at a welterweight, not middleweight, as the Notorious previously claimed, and serve as a headlining act of the UFC 303 card, which goes down at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas and airs on pay-per-view following prelimits of ESPN. Chandler has long been targeted as the return opponent for McGregor after the two fighters coached opposing teams on The Ultimate Fighter in 2023. McGregor has not been in action since breaking his leg in 2021 in a trilogy bout against Dustin Poirier at the UFC 264. It will be nearly 3 years since he's seen action. The Irishman recently expressed frustration at the UFC about his return, stating his patience is wearing thin after he re-entered the drug testing pool. McGregor, 35, subsequently announced he would be returning to fight Chandler during the International Fight Week on June 29th, and it would be contested in the middleweight division. That ultimately proved false, but now McGregor will return to the octagon a few months sooner than expected. Looking to derail what McGregor's team has dubbed as the greatest return in sports history will be the former three-time Bellator champion Chandler, who sees his long wait for the matchup finally paying off. Chandler, who's 37, hasn't competed since November of 2022, where he suffered a Fight of the Year contender loss to Poirier at UFC 281.
Okay. Now, the reason why I put this in the UFC 300 category is because it was announced during UFC 300.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a big fight. This is going to maybe the biggest fight in UFC history.
Mm-hmm.
And you look around and you're like, it really is. A guy that hasn't fought in 3 years versus a guy that hasn't fought in 2 years. When one's 22 and one back in 2022 and one's before that. I look around and I look at this and I'm excited about this fight. I'm a little surprised that it's going to be at welterweight. It says it's going to be at welterweight. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
McGregor wanted it at the middleweight division. Both of those guys haven't really fought at that weight. But since McGregor breaking his leg, he has gained a lot of muscle, a lot. And that's concerning because cutting weight is tough, incredibly tough. And so it's easier for Chandler, who's a smaller guy, to gain weight than, gaining weight, you get to eat, get fat, drink as much water. There's no weight cut. There's nothing. It's just train, eat cheeseburgers, and get bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Where Conor McGregor, who's always been a small man, has gotten to be a much larger, muscular man, is going to have to tear his body down and weaken his body to get down to the welterweight division, which I think is going to be incredibly hard for him the last few years to be walking around at the size that he is. McGregor's not a small guy anymore.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, you're looking at a big fight that's gonna I think gonna break some records. Right now, I feel like a fighter coming off of a leg kick where you break your leg, I mean, it snaps in half. This is not one of those, like I just told you with the knockout with the Gaethje one, I said, look it up. This is not one of those. This is not one you want to look up because it's brutal and it's vicious. And I want you to make sure you understand this. I watched Anderson Silva never be the same again after he broke his leg. I can't even think of the guy's name from New York that he broke his leg with, but he broke his leg and never was the same. Fighters are not the same after when you snap both of those bones in half. When they wrap around, your leg wraps around another man's leg, they're never the same again. I've yet to see a fighter. Chris Weidman is the other one that broke his leg that way. I've never seen a fighter ever come back from this. Even Alex Smith, when football, when he broke his leg that way, he had a comeback, but he wasn't Alex Smith anymore. You cannot have that kind of trauma. Granted, it's been a long wait to come back, and I'm happy to see him come back. I worry that Conor has been inactive even before breaking his leg. He's been way too inactive, hasn't won in a long time. I'm taking Chandler to win this one, and that's my prediction.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll move on. We have one more quick story here.
Okay, so Holly Holm lost all focus in the loss to Kayla Harrison at the UFC 300, and Dana White wants her to retire. Holly Holm, who might have been at a crossroad where her future is concerned, the former bantamweight, I think bantamweight,
yes.
Champion suffered a lopsided loss to two-time Olympic judo gold medalist Kayla Harris at UFC 300 after she was taken down and choked out in the second round. The loss dropped Holm to 1-2 with no contest in her past 4 fights, with both losses coming via submission. Following the disappointing loss, Holm took to social media to issue a statement about her performance. Well, none of that went how I envisioned over the last 10 weeks of training camp, Holm said. I have no excuses. I had all the best coaching, the best teammates, the best sparring, all the help I could ever dream of asking for. I went out there and lost all focus on the game plan. I did nothing that we trained for in this fight. All respect to Kayla, she was the better fighter tonight. Earlier in the opening round, Holm invited a grappling exchange with Harrison, which seemed like a bad idea considering the former PFL champion almost certainly wanted to fight on the ground. Holm actually scored an early reversal, but then found herself stuck under Harrison, eating elbows and punches for nearly 5 consecutive minutes. The situation only went from bad to worse in the second round when Harrison once again took Holm to the canvas, advanced her to back before latching on the fight-ending rear naked choke. At 42, Holm admitted in her statement that she needs time to process the loss before deciding what's next for her career.
Okay. Holly Holm, former UFC bantamweight champion, famous for knocking out Ronda Rousey to win the title. That's the one that's what she's really famous for. Absolutely love Holly. I think Holly is one of the great ambassadors to the game.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of excited because she had brought in Chris Cyborg to train with for this event, trying to train and grapple with a much stronger person. And Cyborg's if you know MMA, Cyborg's a very big, strong woman. But I understand when she says she lost focus, because when you watch that fight, it's kind of like, what is Holly thinking? This was no ordinary, hey, she beat, PFL starlet Kayla Harris. No, this is the greatest judo competitor in Olympic history. 2-time gold medal winning Kayla Harris, greatest judo fighter in history. And what does she want to do? She want to grapple with the greatest judo fighter in sports history. That was a bad mix.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take what you're absolutely strongest with, and I'm going to do that. And that's kind of the way it felt like. Like, it was more like, I felt like Holly wanted to kind of impose her will on Kayla and show her that she could compete with her, because that whole takedown and then get a reverse, it just, any game plan, any strategy she had went out the window. Holly should have came in using a lot of footwork, using her. Kayla Harris is the world's greatest judo fighter. Holly Holmes is a boxing champion, a kickboxer, and an MMA fighter. So she should have used her range. She was a taller, longer, linkier fighter. She should have used her footwork, her legs to move around the ring, make it a long, drawn-out fight, and point her to the point to victory. She didn't do that. And when you look at it, significant strikes landed. You start looking, you think of, when you say significant strikes, Faith, this is, you got solidly hit in the face. You know what I mean? This wasn't a grazing blow. In 2 rounds, Holly landed 2 significant strikes. That was it. Kayla Harris threw 71 and landed 51. That means elbows, punches, everything. Strikes, Kayla Harris, total strikes. Holly threw 7. Kayla landed 7. Kayla Holmes threw 91 strikes, landed 68 flush. Significant are power, like I said, 51 of them were power shots. You can't take a beating like that and think you're going to last long. The whole point of the reason why I wanted to bring this up is Holly has had a great career. I hate saying this, but in the world of MMA, you can get hurt out there. And that the point I'm getting at is Kayla landed a lot of very big shots on her. Her last few fights that she's lost, people have landed some very big shots on her. Holly Holmes is a Hall of Famer, and I would love to see her give it up. I hope when she steps back and she looks at this and she looks at her last few fights, that this may be her last fight, because she's had a Hall of Fame career. She's fought for titles. She has the biggest upset in women's mixed martial arts history. One of the biggest upsets in sports history is her knocking out Ronda Rousey. It is that time that sometimes you got to know when to quit. This isn't a Tiger Woods situation where you can be like, oh, I'll go to the senior circuit and I'll putt a few balls with the 60-year-old guys. No, you get huge shots landed on you. People kick you in the head. Kayla, Kayla threw a really nice kick that landed. Elbows, punches, hard punches where she's on the mat, Kayla's firing down shots on her, laying her in the elbows. You can't, as an older fighter, as an older woman, you don't want to be taking those shots long term. It's that time. I would love to see Holly retire.
Yeah.
That's my last take on that one.
Well, those were actually the words of Dana White as well. He said he would love to see Holly retire after the fight, but she did not respond to White's suggestion after that.
Wow.
So we'll see. I guess.
Also, we should have used this time to announce your turning pro as an MMA fighter, right?
Who?
You.
Who? No. No. I wouldn't last a second in that ring.
No faith turning pro as an MMA fighter anytime soon. This does set up the talk of an Amanda Nunes Caitlin fight. I would love to see a Kayla Harris fight. I would love to see that one. Most people are gonna say Amanda Nunes, the greatest fighter ever. They're taking Amanda Nunes. I've watched every one of Kayla Harris's fights since she's turned pro. I would take Kayla. I would definitely take Kayla. Kayla's the bigger, stronger fighter. And Amanda's been out of the game for a while. The thing with Amanda though is Amanda is like Tyson. She hits so hard. And so that would be the fight that's the fight to book right there.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Alrighty, guys. Well, with that, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to dive into our dating horror stories for the week. So make sure you guys stick around, and we'll be back in a minute.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Earlier, we were talking about UFC 300, and now we're going to be diving into our dating horror stories for the week. So, I took a quick bathroom trip, and I always forget that when I do this show, most of the time it's business up top and casual down at the bottom. And so when I get up to go to the bathroom, Tate can always see my PJ pants.
Yes, she is. It's so, guys, and it's just funny because she just has regular pajama bottoms. It sounds kind of funny saying pajama bottoms, right?
Yeah.
You know, but how do you describe them as? Like,
They're just
you
PJs,
know,
yeah.
they're just flannel PJs, kind of. Flannel, right? What kind of material would you say that?
I wouldn't say flannel, cotton. Cotton,
Yes.
polyester. I don't know.
So you don't realize that Faith is just made up, waist up, professional on the top, nap time on the bottom.
Yeah.
That's what I say about Faith. I'm fully dressed. Yeah.
It makes
So,
it easier for when the show's over with, and I take my morning nap after the show's over with. So all I have to do is change my top instead of the whole
everything.
shindig.
Yes. All right. I'm looking forward to this. So let's see what you have for me. Yes.
Okay, so we got this. Let's see, what's this subreddit? Oh, this is from Singapore. Okay, this is the subreddit of Ask Singapore. But we got
Place I want to go to. I think it's Singapore is the safest country in the world. I think right
Is it?
now.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yes. Yeah. You nothing is. I think last year, I think Singapore was one, Portugal was two, or one. Portugal is one of the safest countries in the world as well. But Singapore is like next level safe. So.
Okay, well, here is a dating horror story from this subreddit. Matched with this guy on Tinder, and we started talking for a week before deciding to meet up. We decided to watch a movie together. He wanted to hold my hands in the movie, which I was okay with because I thought there was potential. I was dumb. Okay, guys. Ha ha ha. After the movie, we went to Changi Village for supper and had a nice walk by the beach. At that point, I thought the date went well, but suddenly he knelt on one knee and proposed.
Whoa, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Well, all right.
Whoa.
Go ahead. Sorry about that. You
Yeah.
just okay, keep on firing, girl. Keep on firing.
I was dumbfounded. He said he felt an instant connection with me after he met me and wanted me to be his wife. He said he always carries this ring around in case he found someone that he wants to marry. I informed him nicely that it is too soon for that because we only just met. He looked disappointed. I told him we should give ourselves a bit more time to get to know each other. I ghosted him a week after because he texted me and said he told his mother about me and his mother approved of me.
Wow. Oh, yeah. And then you ghost. See, I don't approve of the ghosting. That just looks bad. He's like, Mom, I found the girl I'm gonna marry. When do I get to meet her? Oh yeah, she's gonna be coming over. Let me text her. Nothing. You never hear from her again. So I don't approve of the ghosting part, but I also say, run, Forrest, run.
Yeah.
Listen, if you carrying an engagement ring around like you carrying around your iPhone, there's a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, wait a minute, I can't leave. I left my phone in the house. I got to go get my phone before we leave. No, it's like, hey, I forgot my engagement ring, dog. I'll be right back. Got to go get that engagement ring. If you don't even have a girlfriend, but you got an engagement ring.
Hey, I will say this. At least he is a man who's not afraid of commitment.
Oh, no.
There's one defense
He's
for
a
him.
man that has mental problems. Listen, Faith, if you walking around before you even have a girlfriend with an engagement ring, don't want to leave home without it, you sitting down.
I'm not saying it's right.
Faith, you sitting down watching the brand new Beetlejuice movie about to come out. Y'all sitting there and move the hand over. Hold your hand. Afterwards, will you marry me? Hell no. No. I don't even know if I want Chipotle with you, let alone. Am I right? I don't even know if I want to go to Chipotle with you or split a $5 footlong or whatever they cost now. $5. I know. This is a guy, once again, everybody should have at least a little game. Mm-hmm. And in the book of game, what chapter 14, verse 12 says, thou shalt not walk around life carrying a damn ring in your pocket when you don't have a girlfriend. Okay?
I'm sorry. The whole Bible chapter and verse thing.
You should not be walking around with a ring and you don't have a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Leave that sucker at home. Put it behind the pillow somewhere.
This is my red flag. Flying my red flag. Yeah.
Because it's a red flag because that's like blood red. If you say yes and then you leave him, you don't know what he's going to do. If he's carrying a ring with you, I don't care what he looks like. You got to leave him alone. Matter of fact, I take it back. She had the right to ghost him. The fact that she stayed with him longer, she stayed with him a while, like a few days.
Yeah.
I knew this guy, and if I told the story already, he was horrible with girls, and so I got him a blind date. Did I tell this story?
I don't know.
And I told him, when you go on this date, don't call her the next day. Wait 24 hours. He kept calling. Those people like that, you can't
scare
fix.
people away. You scare them away when you do that.
Even if she think, even if you know what, this could be the one. This is the greatest guy ever. And he comes to you, Faith, and says, after 6 hours on a date, here's a ring. Oh, I carry this with me just in case I find the perfect woman. Here you go. No. First off, you put no thought into it. It'd be different if he was like, this is my great grandpappy's ring that he gave to my I know. And so he gave it to my grandma, and I want you to have it. No, this is, I bought this ring and I carry this sucker with me everywhere, just in case. I'm telling you right now, this ain't the first time he kicked that ring out.
No, absolutely not. Come on.
You know what I mean? I think he's kicked that ring out a few times. No. Mm-mm.
Also, not everyone has the same ring size. Not everybody has the same ring style. What's gonna happen if he goes on a date and some crazy lady just happens to say yes, and the ring doesn't fit?
Rings can get resized. That's not the issue. The issue is mental. The fact of the matter is, my man is carrying a wedding ring around him. He's asking girls out on Tinder. Now, you understand? This isn't hey, I met her on Tinder. We're on our 45th date. And 46 is my lucky number. So I'm going to propose to her. We've been dating for the last 12 months. You haven't even made it the last 12 hours. I don't care what movie. She said they went to a movie, he tried to hold their hand, and then afterwards he proposed. Mm-hmm. Even if it's Dancing with Wolves, that's 3.5 hours. Avatar, 3.5 hours.
At least he took her to a nice place to do it. They went to the beach. Even though he proposed to her at the beach, at least it's a nice proposal.
It's Singapore. Beaches are everywhere. That's like me saying, hey, I took her to the beach. Well, that's just right over here. It's not like he went out the way. The fact is, he's carrying a ring. That's where I have the problem.
Yeah.
And then the fact that she let that slide and they kept on, and then you were right. Hey, I told mama about you. Mama approves of you. Does mama know you just met her on Tuesday?
Does mama know that you're absolutely insane?
Can't be. Am I off on any of this?
No,
if you
you're
disagree
not.
with me, please.
No.
This is not showing that a guy can commit. This shows that a guy should be committed. There's a difference between the two. You understand the difference? I understand how they can be confusing. Commitment is, hey, we've been going out for a while. I really like you. I want us to, be exclusive. I don't want to see anybody else but you, but I want to get to know you more. This guy doesn't even care about who you are or what you're like, because you can't know anyone in the time it would take you to go to a movie and go to the beach.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get to know anyone. I'm just sorry. And the fact that you brought...
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen, you're always the guy who's defending the person who's in the wrong. So I was like, well, hey, least, there's this guy's like...
I am not always defending the guy that's in the wrong. I just look at both sides of the story.
And I was looking at both sides of the story. At least, he's not afraid of commitment if he's ready to kneel down and propose to you after the first date. And he took you somewhere nice to do it, at least.
If someone goes on, sometimes when a girl goes on a date, she shaves her legs.
Yes.
If she shaves her legs, a lot of times she's like, something
that
could
opens
go
a door.
down.
It opens a door.
Right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Something could go down. That's a pre-thought out plan before anything ever comes into play. Mm-hmm. I'm speaking the truth on this one. Mm-hmm. What is that? Okay, so something was thought about beforehand. When a guy shows up on a first date with a wedding ring, he's been thinking about other things way before. It wasn't you that he wants to get. He wants to get married to almost anyone, not you, anyone, because he had never met you before he actually brought the ring with him. Mm-hmm. There was a pre-plan before it ever kicked in. He came in with a plan. Sometimes people come in with a plan for certain things. He came in with a plan of wanting to get married and trying to find someone desperate enough to do it. Mm-hmm. You can't do it. All right. You got any comments on this one?
Someone said, "Is this guy serious or not? Proposed on first date. He must be charmed by you." Trauma in another form.
Charm. Unless that photo, she must have did one. That she had AI, CGI, and everything else on that photo. Because
you don't think somebody would be pretty enough to be asked to be married to on the first date?
No, absolutely not. Zero. There is no. Listen, I have seen.
Not
I've
even
seen some
if
beautiful
it was.
Women.
Not even if it was Mama Kardashian.
Okay, let's talk about this for a second. Let's talk about this. Is she willing? Do I have to sign a prenup? It can be mama or daughter Kardashian. Do I have to sign a prenup? If I got to sign a prenup, we got to date a little bit longer. But if I don't have to sign a prenup, I'm in.
See, I got him right there, guys.
That is hilarious. Looks like you threw out Mama Kardashian. I do think Mama Kardashian kind of fine. And it's weird to think mama and daughter are cute. That's just creepy, right?
Oh.
That's kind of funny because you know, on Friday we talked about OJ all the way into the Kardashians today, coming full circle.
First full circle.
So, okay. Anything else with this one?
I mean, somebody else said maybe he's new to the dating world, hence why he thinks it's okay. Or maybe he was blinded by you and was swept off his feet.
Now, see, that's like, if you believe that, that's how divorce happens. It's like, oh, if she said yes, she's going to tell the story. Oh, it was love at first sight. We had to do this. No, you didn't. You can think about these things. If I'm swiping left, if at 9:45, I'm swiping left and right, and at 10:15,
yeah,
I'm not getting married. That's not a successful recipe.
Listen, I believe in the thing of love at first sight, but you got to give it some time, okay? Because my boyfriend, it was love at first sight for me. But we've been together for 1.5 years and we're not married, and there's no plans of marriage soon.
On that first date, if he'd have came out with a ring, would you accept it?
No, because I'm not crazy.
Absolutely not. No, I'm married, and I would be like, nope. Matter of fact, that's the end of the date, and there's no more dates after that. I'm sorry, You're moving way too fast. I'm in the slow lane.
Yeah. Ditto.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm out like a light during Christmas. I'm done.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh gosh. All right, guys. Well, with that, we're going to close out our show for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Andrew Tate Show, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content updates. Thank you once again. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you tomorrow. Peace.
Mm-hmm. 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 Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn ain't that